Hey everybody, it's Ron from Pick Dawgz, and this is Ron's Bank Shop Breakdown. We're going to go over 5 college basketball games for Friday, January 12th, 2024. Now, if you like what you see, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to put your college basketball picks in the comment section below. And if you're looking for my best bets, including my college basketball bank shop best bet, you can find those at the premium picks tab at pickdawgz.com. There's also a link in the description. Alrighty, let's get into it. Here are the games for Friday in college hoops. First up, we see Minnesota and Indiana. This one's going to be a 6:30 Eastern start time. It's going to be on Fox Sports 1. Not the strongest college basketball card for Friday, in my opinion, just in terms of value. There are some entertaining games on the board. This is one of them. Should be a competitive game. Minnesota's playing great basketball lately. They're on a nice win streak of 7 games, and they've won their last 3 conference games against Nebraska, Michigan, and Maryland. You could say those are some of the weaker teams in the conference, but Nebraska did just beat Purdue, so nice win there. Indiana, I would consider it a rebuilding year for this team. I don't think they're going to be too competitive in conference play, especially when they're in their road games, as this is not a program that's known for playing too well away from home. But in a home game like this, and in a spot where Minnesota, I do think is starting to be on the overvalued side a bit because of that recent win streak, I think Indiana, this is a pretty good matchup for them. I like the fact that Indiana does a good job of getting to the free throw line. So while their offense isn't the most efficient, while they don't get the best shots in terms of quality offensively, they still do a great job of getting to the line. And I think going forward, their offense should improve. And the defense is solid, still top 100 in adjusted defensive efficiency, 55th in 2-point defense. Minnesota, give them credit. This has been a strong performance from them in their 7-game win streak. But I don't think they've been tested too much away from home. We saw them lose by double digits against Ohio State on the road. Sure, they beat Michigan on the road, but we know that this Michigan team is just not very good this season. So in a tough environment, I'm going to take Indiana here. I'm going to take them and lay the points. Next up, we see Dayton and Duquesne. This one's going to be a 7 p.m. Eastern start time. It's going to be on ESPN2. Now, we took Dayton in their last game against UMass. Dayton did win that game, but they failed to cover as it was a 64-60 final score. I've talked about how Dayton's been really impressive this year. They're on a 9-game win streak, and it's not like they played a really easy schedule. They played the 47th toughest non-conference schedule in Division I hoops this year, but a lot of their really tough games were neutral site games or home games. When you look at their true road games, they really weren't tested too much. And when they were, we saw them lose to Northwestern by 5 points. They played SMU on the road, and they got a win, but it was only a 2-point victory. They played Davidson on the road, a semi-road game against Cincinnati. But I think there's a lack of true road tests for this Dayton team, and I think this is going to be a tough one in conference play against a Duquesne team that, is not playing great ball as of late, but still has a really talented roster, an underrated offense with a lot of talented scorers that create pretty good looks. Fundamentally sound team that forces turnovers. They're a good offensive rebounding team that get to the free throw line. I think Duquesne is underrated and undervalued right now. I'm not really concerned with their 0-2 start to conference play. Both of those games were on the road against solid teams in UMass and Loyola Chicago. And I think at home in this game, it's a good bounce back spot and a great spot to pull off a nice upset. So give me Duquesne here. Next up, we see Manhattan and Rider in the MAAC. This one's going to be a 7 p.m. Eastern start time. It's going to be on ESPN+. Rider, snapped its losing streak and with a win over Canisius in its last game. That was an overtime victory, so an exciting game there. And I do think that this is a good spot now for Rider to put together a feel-good blowout win at home. I think they're the much better team in this matchup, and I think they have the best player on the court for sure in Mervyn James, who is one of the best players in this conference in general. Manhattan, they're on a losing streak. They're not really fundamentally sound, and Rider does have a big advantage on the glass in this game. The Bronx are top 50 in offensive rebounding percentage, and Manhattan's 313th. So I do expect Rider to have a big advantage in second chance opportunities and second chance points. And, I just trust this Rider team on both sides of the court. I just think, the Rider shooting percentage is not great to start the year. It's 349th in effective field goal percentage, but they're creating pretty good looks, and I do think that those numbers are going to improve as the season goes along. The defense is a strong defensive rebounding team. They force tough shots, and Manhattan gets a lot of its points from the three-point line, 34.1% of their points from three-point jumpers. Rider actually has a pretty decent three-point defense, and I think that that's going to hold up in this game. I'm going to take Rider and lay the points. I think we see a blowout double-digit victory for the Bronx. Next up, we'll stay in the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference as Fairfield takes on Niagara. This one's also going to be 7 p.m. Eastern. It's going to be on ESPN Plus as well. Should be a great matchup here between two teams, two of the hotter teams in the conference. Fairfield, of course, on an 8-game win streak and 3-1 in conference play. Niagara, who didn't get off to the best start to the year, they were 1-6 at one point and 0-2 in conference play. Now they've won 3 straight games, and by the way, all 3 of those games were on the road. They beat Buffalo, Manhattan, and Iona, all in true road games. That Iona win, of course, the most impressive of the 3, a 75-73 victory for the Eagles. And I like Niagara in this matchup. I've mentioned a few times, I do think Fairfield is kind of overrated when you look at the shot quality numbers. Not a very good rebounding team. I do think Fairfield going to regress as the season goes along, as conference play goes along. And on the road against a Niagara team playing its best basketball of the season, not a great spot, in my opinion, for Fairfield. Niagara's just really improving on both ends of the court. Their offense starting to shoot the ball a lot better, and this is a top 40 3-point shooting team. So I like home teams that can make the 3. They take care of the defensive glass. They don't take too many fouls, and they're a good free throw shooting team, top 30 in the country. I like Niagara in this spot. Give me the Purple Eagles to keep on rolling. Give me them plus the points. Next up, we see Nebraska and Iowa, the final game we're to talk about for the Friday card in college basketball. This game's going to be a 9:30 Eastern start time. It's going to be on the Big Ten Network. This is as classic a letdown spot as you could get. I got to go with Iowa here. It's just a really bad spot for Nebraska. Give them credit. Great win last time out against the number 1 team in the country in the AP polls. Number 3 in KenPom, the Purdue Boilermakers. Not just a victory, but a blowout win at home, 88-72 the final score. Not easy to score 88 points against Purdue, and not easy to hold them to 72 points as they have a very lethal offense. But Nebraska did it. They really helped their resume. They didn't have a ton of great wins so far. They're going to get their chances, obviously, in Big Ten play, but other than that victory, they had a road win against Kansas State, the home win against Michigan State. So that's really going to help their resume in terms of the NCAA tournament. But now you're on the road against a really tough team, I think an underrated team in the Iowa Hawkeyes. Iowa plays its best basketball at home, as most teams do in college basketball, and especially the Big Ten Conference. And Nebraska, we haven't seen them on the road too much this year. Like I said, they have that road win against Kansas State, but they also lost to Minnesota by 11 points in their other true road game, and Wisconsin by 16 points in that true road game. So I don't love their chances, especially after the big emotional, exciting victory. Iowa, they play well at home, like I mentioned. They just took down Rutgers by 9 points. Obviously, we know this is a really good offensive team, but I think their defense is underrated as well. They're a decent rebounding team, but I like the fact that they take care of the basketball. They're a great shooting team, of course. They play a really fast pace, and it's tough to prepare for. I got to go with Iowa here. And that's it. Those are the games for Friday in college basketball. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. And don't forget to put your college basketball picks in the comment section below. Again, if you're looking for my best bets, you can find those at Pick Dawgz Premium. As always, this is Romanelli. Good luck.